close your eyes and imagine a dark world. No lights in homes, no phones, no cars. Now open them, because Thomas Edison brought us light. But wait, look up at the moon. Why doesn't it crash into Earth? Thank Isaac Newton for solving that mystery. Today, we're pitting two legendary scientists against each other. Edison versus Newton. Who changed our lives more? Let's find out. Welcome back to Learn English with Stories 365. Don't forget to subscribe before we continue our story today. Did you know Thomas Edison, the Wizard of Menlo Park, was partially deaf? That's right. As a child, an illness left him with bad hearing. But he used this weakness as a superpower. He felt vibrations in his lab to test inventions. And Newton? The man who explained gravity wrote over 1 million secret words about magic and religion. He even tried to turn metal into gold. Both men had brilliant quotes that teach us about life. Edison famously said, "Genius is 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration." Perspiration means sweat, hard work. Newton gave us this gem. If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. Giants here means the smart people before him. Humble, right? But here's the twist. They were total opposites. Edison loved teamwork. His lab was nicknamed the Invention Factory with 30 assistants. Newton, a loner. He once said, "I don't need friends. I have the universe." Edison chased fame like a rock star. Newton hid from crowds. Yet both shaped our world. So who wins? The self-made American inventor or the British genius who cracked the code of the cosmos? Stick around. We'll explore their childhood struggles, epic rivalries, and how they turned failure into fuel. Plus, you'll learn English words like perspiration, gravity, vibrations, alchemy, and telegraph, all while solving this battle. By the end, you'll answer 2 questions. Which genius's story inspires you more? Could you invent the next light bulb or discover a new law of physics? First, let's jump into the highlight reel. Their greatest hits, surprising secrets, and the lessons that'll make you shout, "Aha!" Part 1. The highlight reel. Let's kick things off with the highlight reel. Imagine a greatest hits album, but for science. Here are the biggest, brightest moments from Edison and Newton, the stuff that made them legends. First up, Thomas Edison. This man is the king of inventions. Picture this, 1879. A tiny glass bulb flickers to life in a dark lab. After 1,000 failed attempts, success! The light bulb was born. But wait, Edison didn't stop there. He also gave us the phonograph, the first machine to record sound. People called it magic. Imagine their faces hearing music from a metal cylinder. Oh, and he holds 1,093 patents. That's official inventions. If Edison were alive today, he'd probably own TikTok. But here's a shocking fact. His first invention was a total flop. At age 21, he built an electric vote counter for politicians. Guess what? They hated it. Too fast, they said. Failure? No. Edison learned, never waste time on things people won't buy. Now, switch gears to Isaac Newton. This guy cracked the universe's code. An apple falls from a tree. Boom! He discovers gravity. But that's just the start. He wrote the laws of motion, rules that explain how everything moves from a soccer ball to planets. Thanks to him, we know why we don't float into space. But wait. Newton also invented calculus, the math behind rockets, bridges, and stock markets. His book Principia Mathematica is like the Harry Potter of science, thick, complicated, and revolutionary. Fun fact, he wrote it in Latin and almost burned the only copy in a fight with his dog. Imagine losing 20 years of work because your pet knocked over a candle. Here's the wildest Newton trivia. He wasn't just a scientist. For 30 years, he worked as a detective. The British government hired him to hunt counterfeiters, fake money makers. Newton loved it. He disguised himself, interrogated criminals, and sent them to jail. Science plus spy missions. Coolest resume ever. Both men gave us iconic quotes. Edison's motto, "Genius is 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration." Let's break that down. Inspiration is the initial idea, like, light without fire. But perspiration is the sweat, the hard work. For Edison, failure wasn't the end. It was data. Each broken light bulb taught him what not to do. Newton's famous line, "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." Giants here means the scientists before him, Galileo, Kepler. Newton knew science is a team sport, even if he preferred working alone. His lesson? Question everything. Why does the apple fall? Why does the moon stay up? Curiosity fuels discovery. Now let's compare their superpowers. Edison was the ultimate problem solver. He saw needs, light, sound, power, and built solutions. His lab was nicknamed the Invention Factory because he pumped out ideas like a machine. Newton? He was the ultimate theorist. He didn't just solve problems, he explained the rules of existence. While Edison lit up homes, Newton lit up our understanding of the cosmos. But here's the twist. Both faced haters. Edison's light bulb was called useless because houses had no electricity. Imagine that. Newton's ideas were so advanced, even other scientists didn't understand them at first. One critic said his gravity theory was occult nonsense. Oh, the irony. Newton did study magic. So what can we learn? Edison teaches us to embrace failure. 1,000 tries for the light bulb? That's persistence, never giving up. Newton shows us the power of asking why. Even small things, like apples falling, can hide universe-sized truths. But hold on, this is just the tip of the iceberg. How did a school dropout and a farm boy rise to fame? Were they born geniuses? Nope. Their journeys were full of plot twists, rivalries, and comebacks. Next, we'll dive into Edison's rags-to-riches story and Newton's rocky path from bullied kid to genius knight. Before we move on, let's review some key English words. Persistence means never giving up, even when it's hard. Edison showed persistence by trying 1,000 times. Gravity means the force that pulls objects to Earth. Newton discovered gravity thanks to an apple. Revolutionary means changing things completely. Newton's book was revolutionary for science. Phonograph means the first machine to record and play sound. Edison's phonograph amazed the world. Legacy means what someone leaves behind. Both men have a huge legacy in science. Useful phrases. Never waste time. Edison's lesson after his failed vote counter. Question everything. Newton's motto for discovery. Grammar spotlight. Present simple for general truths. Edison creates inventions that change lives. Newton explains the laws of nature. Ready to time travel to the 1600s and 1800s? Let's start with Thomas Edison's wild ride from candy seller to superstar inventor. Part 2. Edison's background. Let's rewind to 1847. Thomas Edison is born in Ohio, USA. His family isn't rich. In fact, young Tom only goes to school for 3 months. Why? His teacher calls him addled, a fancy word for confused. But his mom, Nancy, believes in him. She homeschools him, saying, "My son has a special mind." And boy, was she right. By age 12, Edison is already working, selling candy and newspapers on trains. But one day, disaster strikes. A chemical spill starts a fire, and he's kicked off the train. Ouch. But Edison doesn't give up. He learns to send messages using a telegraph, a machine that sends coded signals over wires. This skill changes his life. Fast forward to his 20s. Edison moves to New York City with just $1 in his pocket. He sleeps in a basement and eats cheap food. But he's a quick learner. One day, he fixes a broken telegraph machine at a company. The boss is so impressed, he hires Edison on the spot. Now, Edison's career takes off. He invents a better telegraph than a stock ticker, a machine that prints stock prices. He earns $40,000 for it. With this money, he opens his Menlo Park lab in New Jersey. It's nicknamed the Invention Factory because Edison and his team work day and night creating new things. But here's the thing. Edison loves teamwork. He hires 30 assistants, engineers, mechanics, even a mathematician. Together, they turn ideas into reality. Edison says, "I find what the world needs, then invent it." And boy, does he deliver. In 1877, he invents the phonograph, the first machine to record and play sound. People call it magic. Imagine their shock hearing a machine say, "Mary had a little lamb." Then comes the light bulb. For years, people use gas lamps or candles. But Edison wants something safer, brighter, and cheaper. He tests over 6,000 materials for the filament. The tiny wire inside the bulb, bamboo, cotton, even hair. Finally, he finds the perfect one. Carbonized bamboo. On October 21st, 1879, the first practical light bulb glows for 13.5 hours. Success. But Edison doesn't stop there. He builds power plants to light up entire cities. By 1882, New York's Pearl Street Station powers 400 lamps. Soon, the world follows. Now, here's a surprising fact. Edison wasn't just an inventor, he was a businessman. He knew how to sell his ideas. He even staged public demonstrations to wow crowds. Once, he lit up an entire neighborhood to prove his bulbs worked. People called him the Wizard of Menlo Park. But life wasn't all bright. Edison faced huge challenges. His lab burned down twice, destroying years of work. Each time, he rebuilt it, saying, "I'm not a quitter." He also had rivals, like Nikola Tesla, who believed in alternating current AC electricity, while Edison backed direct current, DC. Their war of currents was fierce, but in the end, AC won. Despite setbacks, Edison kept going. He once said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That's persistence, never giving up, no matter how hard it gets. By the time he died in 1931, Edison held 1,093 patents. That's more than anyone in history. His inventions changed how we live, work, and play. From the light bulb to the phonograph, his legacy shines bright. But here's the question. Could you be the next Edison? What problem would you solve? Before we move on, let's review some key English words. 1. Telegraph means an old machine for sending messages over wires. Edison learned to use it as a teenager. 2. Filament means the thin wire inside a light bulb that glows when heated. Edison tested 6,000 materials for it. 3. Persistence means never giving up, even when it's hard. Edison showed persistence after his lab burned down. 4. Patent means a legal paper that protects an invention. Edison held over 1,000 patents. 5. Legacy means what someone leaves behind. Edison's legacy includes the light bulb and phonograph. Useful phrases. I'm not a quitter. Edison's motto after his lab burned down. Find what the world needs, then invent it. Edison's approach to problem solving. Grammar spotlight. Past simple tense for completed actions. Edison invented the light bulb in 1879. He tested over 6,000 materials for the filament. Next, we'll meet Isaac Newton, the man who unlocked the secrets of the universe. From a bullied farm boy to a knighted genius, his story is just as amazing. Stay tuned. Part 3. Newton's background. Now, let's travel back to 1643. Isaac Newton is born in a small English village. He's so tiny and weak, the midwife says he might not survive. But he does, and grows up to become one of the greatest minds in history. Newton's childhood isn't easy. His dad dies before he's born, and his mom remarries. His stepfather doesn't want him around, so Newton is sent to live with his grandma. At school, he's bullied. He's not strong or popular, but he's curious. He builds tiny models, windmills, clocks, even a mouse-powered cart. Imagine a mouse running on a wheel to move a toy car. At 18, Newton goes to Cambridge University. But here's the twist. He's not a star student. In fact, he's average. Why? Because he's bored with the old-fashioned lessons. He wants to explore new ideas. Then, in 1665, disaster strikes. The Great Plague hits England. Cambridge closes and Newton returns home. But this disaster becomes his biggest opportunity. Stuck on his family farm, Newton has time to think. One day, he sees an apple fall from a tree. He wonders, why does it fall straight down? Why not sideways or up? This simple question leads to his theory of gravity, the force that pulls objects to Earth. During this time, Newton also develops calculus, a new kind of math. Calculus helps us understand how things change, like the speed of a car or the shape of a curve. Today, it's used in engineering, physics, and even video games. When Cambridge reopens, Newton returns, but as a different man. He's no longer the average student. He's a genius with groundbreaking ideas. In 1687, he publishes Principia Mathematica, one of the most important science books ever written. In it, he explains his laws of motion, 3 rules that describe how objects move. Here's a quick breakdown. 1. First law. An object stays still or moves in a straight line unless a force acts on it. Think. A soccer ball won't move unless you kick it. 2. Second law, force equals mass times acceleration. Bigger force, such you faster movement. 3. Third law. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Think. When you jump, you push the ground and it pushes you back. But Newton doesn't stop there. He also studies light. Using a prism, he discovers that white light is made of all the colors of the rainbow. He builds the first reflecting telescope, which makes stars and planets clearer to see. Now, here's a surprising fact. Newton wasn't just a scientist. He was also a detective. In 1696, he becomes warden of the Royal Mint, the place where England makes its money. His job? Stop counterfeiters, people making fake coins. Newton takes this seriously. He disguises himself, gathers evidence, and even interrogates criminals. By the end, he sends over 100 people to jail. In 1705, Queen Anne knights Newton for his work. Now he's Sir Isaac Newton. But fame doesn't change him. He stays humble, saying, "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." Newton's life wasn't perfect, though. He had a temper. He feuded with other scientists, like Robert Hooke and Gottfried Leibniz. Some say he even delayed publishing his work to avoid arguments. He also had strange hobbies. For 30 years he studied alchemy, the ancient practice of turning metal into gold. He even wrote over 1 million secret words about it. Newton died in 1727 at age 84. He's buried in Westminster Abbey, a place for England's greatest heroes. His legacy? A universe that makes sense. Thanks to him, we understand gravity, motion, and light. But here's the question. Could you be the next Newton? What mystery would you solve? Before we move on, let's review some key English words. 1. Gravity means the force that pulls objects to Earth. Newton discovered gravity thanks to an apple. 2. Calculus means a type of math that studies change. Newton invented calculus during the plague. 3. Prism means a glass object that splits light into colors. Newton used a prism to study light. 4. Counterfeiters means people who make fake money. Newton hunted counterfeiters as a detective. 5. Legacy means what someone leaves behind. Newton's legacy includes the laws of motion and gravity. Useful phrases. Standing on the shoulders of giants. Newton's way of thanking earlier scientists. I question everything. Newton's motto for discovery. Grammar spotlight. Past continuous for background actions. While Newton was studying at Cambridge, the plague hit. He was working on his theories when the apple fell. Now that we've met both geniuses, let's compare them head to head. Who worked better, alone or in a team? Who handled failure better? Stay tuned for the ultimate showdown. Part 4. Work style. Now it's time for the first big comparison. Work style. How did Edison and Newton approach their work? Were they team players or lone wolves? Let's find out. First, let's talk about Thomas Edison. This man was the king of teamwork. His lab in Menlo Park, New Jersey wasn't just a workplace. It was an invention factory. Edison hired 30 assistants, including engineers, mechanics, and even a mathematician. Together, they turned ideas into reality. Edison believed in collaboration, working together to solve problems. He once said, "I find what the world needs, then I invent it." But he didn't do it alone. His team tested materials, built prototypes, and improved designs. For example, When creating the light bulb, Edison's team tested over 6,000 materials for the filament. That's a lot of teamwork. Here's a fun fact. Edison's lab was open 24/7. He and his team worked day and night, often sleeping on lab tables. Edison even had a piano in the lab to keep everyone energized. He knew that great ideas come from brainstorming, throwing ideas around and building on them. But Edison wasn't just a team leader, he was a motivator. He kept his team focused and inspired. One assistant said, "Edison made us believe we could do the impossible," and they did. Together they created the light bulb, phonograph, and hundreds of other inventions. Now, let's switch to Isaac Newton. If Edison was the team player, Newton was the ultimate lone wolf. He preferred working alone, often locking himself in his room for days. He once said, "I keep to my own company." Newton's best ideas came during periods of isolation. For example, his groundbreaking work on gravity, calculus, and light happened during the Great Plague, when he was stuck at home. No distractions, no team meetings, just Newton and his thoughts. But here's the catch. Newton wasn't great at sharing his ideas. He often kept his discoveries secret for years. Why? Because he hated arguments. He once delayed publishing his work on calculus because he was afraid of criticism. Imagine holding on to a revolutionary idea because you're scared of what people might say. Newton also had a temper. He feuded with other scientists, like Robert Hooke and Gottfried Leibniz. These fights weren't just petty, they were personal. For example, Newton and Leibniz both claimed to invent calculus. The argument got so heated it split the scientific community in two. So, who had the better work style? Edison, the team player, or Newton, the lone genius? Let's break it down. Edison's strengths. Collaboration. He brought together diverse minds to solve problems. Speed. With a team, he could test ideas faster. Motivation. He inspired his team to push boundaries. Newton's strengths. Focus. Working alone, he could dive deep into complex ideas. Originality. His isolation led to unique, groundbreaking theories. Independence. He didn't need approval to explore new ideas. But both styles had weaknesses. Edison's team sometimes rushed projects, leading to mistakes. For example, his first light bulbs didn't last long, and Newton's secrecy slowed down scientific progress. If he'd shared his ideas sooner, who knows what else we might have discovered. Here's the big lesson. There's no right way to work. Edison shows us the power of teamwork, how combining skills can lead to amazing results. Newton reminds us that solitude can spark genius. Sometimes you need quiet to hear your best ideas. So, which style fits you? Are you a team player like Edison or a lone wolf like Newton? Before we move on, let's review some key English words. 1. Collaboration. Working together with others. Edison believed in collaboration. 2. Isolation, being alone. Newton did his best work in isolation. 3. Brainstorming, throwing out ideas to solve problems. Edison's team used brainstorming. 4. Originality, being new and unique. Newton's ideas had great originality. 5. Motivation, the drive to do something. Edison provided motivation for his team. Useful phrases. Two heads are better than one. A saying that means teamwork is powerful. Alone we can do so little. Together we can do so much. A quote that sums up Edison's style. Grammar spotlight. Comparative adjectives. Edison was more collaborative. Newton was more independent. Newton's ideas were more original, but Edison's were more practical. Next, we'll dive into another big comparison: handling failure. How did Edison and Newton deal with setbacks? Who bounced back better? Stay tuned. Part 5. Handling failure. Failure. It's something we all face, but how we handle it defines us. Now let's compare how Edison and Newton dealt with setbacks. Who turned failure into fuel? Let's find out. First, let's talk about Thomas Edison. This man was the king of persistence. He famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." And he meant it. Take the light bulb, for example. Edison and his team tested over 6,000 materials for the filament, the part that glows. Bamboo, cotton, even hair. Each failure taught them something new. Edison didn't see these as mistakes. He saw them as data. Every wrong answer brought him closer to the right one. But the light bulb wasn't his only challenge. Edison's lab burned down twice. Imagine losing years of work in minutes. Yet both times, Edison rebuilt his lab, saying, "I'm not a quitter." He even joked, "The fire cleaned out the old junk." Here's another example. Edison's first invention was a total flop. At age 21, he built an electric vote counter for politicians, but they hated it. Too fast, they said. Instead of giving up, Edison learned a valuable lesson. Never waste time on things people won't buy. Edison's secret. He saw failure as a teacher. Each setback made him smarter, stronger, and more determined. He once said, "Our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is to try one more time." Now, let's switch to Isaac Newton. Newton's relationship with failure was complicated. On one hand, he was a perfectionist. He hated making mistakes and often kept his work secret until it was flawless. For example, he waited 20 years to publish his theory of gravity because he wanted to get every detail right. But here's the thing. Newton also faced huge setbacks. His early years were tough. He was bullied at school, and his family didn't believe in him. Yet, he used these struggles as motivation. He once wrote, "I keep the subject constantly before me, and wait till the first dawnings open slowly by little and little into a full and clear light." Newton's biggest failure? His feud with other scientists. He argued with Robert Hooke over gravity and with Gottfried Leibniz over calculus. These fights weren't just professional, they were personal. Newton once said, "I can calculate the motion of heavenly bodies, but not the madness of people." But here's the twist. Newton's perfectionism sometimes held him back. He delayed sharing his discoveries, which slowed down scientific progress. Imagine if he'd published his work sooner. How much further could science have advanced? So, who handled failure better? Edison, the optimist, or Newton, the perfectionist? Let's break it down. Edison's strengths. Resilience. He bounced back from setbacks with energy and determination. Persistence. He kept trying, even after thousands of failures. Positivity. He saw failure as a step toward success. Newton's strengths. Patience. He took his time to get things right. Focus. He stayed committed to his goals no matter how long it took. Self-reflection. He learned from his mistakes and improved his work. But both had weaknesses. Edison's optimism sometimes led to rushed projects. For example, his first light bulbs didn't last long. And Newton's perfectionism slowed him down. If he'd shared his ideas sooner, who knows what else we might have discovered. Here's the big lesson. Failure isn't the end. It's a beginning. Edison shows us the power of persistence, how trying again and again can lead to success. Newton reminds us that patience and precision matter. Sometimes, slow and steady wins the race. So, how do you handle failure? Are you an Edison, ready to try again, or a Newton, taking your time to get it right? Before we move on, let's review some key English words. 1. Persistence, never giving up, even when it's hard. Edison showed persistence after 10,000 failures. 2. Resilience, the ability to bounce back from setbacks. Edison's resilience helped him rebuild his lab. 3. Perfectionism, trying to make everything perfect. Newton's perfectionism slowed him down. 4. Optimism, seeing the positive side of things. Edison's optimism kept him going. 5. Self-reflection, thinking about your actions and learning from them. Newton used self-reflection to improve his work. Useful phrases. Fall down 7 times, stand up 8. A saying that means never give up. Slow and steady wins the race. A quote that sums up Newton's style. Grammar spotlight. Past perfect for earlier actions. Edison had failed 1,000 times before he succeeded. Newton had studied math for years before he discovered calculus. Next, we'll focus on English learning. What words and phrases can we learn from Edison and Newton's stories? Stay tuned. Part 6. English Learning Focus. Now it's time for the English Learning Focus. Let's explore the key words, phrases, and grammar patterns from Edison and Newton's stories. By the end, you'll have new tools to talk about science, success, and failure in English. First, let's look at some vocabulary. These are words that both Edison and Newton used, or words that describe their lives. 1. Persistence means never giving up, even when it's hard. Example: Edison showed persistence by trying 1,000 times to make the light bulb. Sentence: if you have persistence, you can achieve anything. 2. Gravity is the force that pulls objects to Earth. Example: Newton discovered gravity when an apple fell from a tree. Sentence: without gravity, we would float into space. 3. Collaboration means working together with others. Example: Edison believed in collaboration and had a team of 30 assistants. Sentence: collaboration helps us solve problems faster. 4. Originality means being new and unique. Example: Newton's ideas had great originality because no one had thought of them before. Sentence: artists and scientists need originality to create something new. 5. Legacy means what someone leaves behind. Example: both Edison and Newton have a huge legacy in science. Sentence: what legacy do you want to leave for the world? Now let's move on to useful phrases. These are expressions you can use in everyday conversations. 1. Never give up, meaning keep trying no matter how hard it gets. Example: Edison never gave up on inventing the light bulb. Sentence: when life gets tough, remember to never give up. 2. Question everything, meaning always ask why and look for answers. Example: Newton questioned everything, even why apples fall. Sentence: if you question everything, you'll learn something new every day. 3. Two heads are better than one, meaning working together is better than working alone. Example: Edison's team proved that two heads are better than one. Sentence: let's work on this project together. Two heads are better than one. Or learn from mistakes, meaning use failures to improve. Example: Edison learned from his mistakes to create the perfect light bulb. Sentence: don't be afraid to fail, just learn from your mistakes. 5. Stand on the shoulders of giants, meaning build on the work of those who came before you. Example: Newton said he stood on the shoulders of giants like Galileo. Sentence: we can achieve great things if we stand on the shoulders of giants. Next, let's look at grammar patterns. These are sentence structures you can use to talk about science, success, and failure. 1. Past simple tense. Use to talk about completed actions in the past. Example: Edison invented the light bulb in 1879. Sentence: Newton discovered gravity while sitting under a tree. 2. Present perfect tense. Use to talk about actions that started in the past and continue to the present. Example: Edison has inspired millions of inventors. Sentence: Newton's laws have changed how we understand the universe. 3. Comparative adjectives. Use to compare two things. Example: Edison was more practical. Newton was more theoretical. Sentence: teamwork is faster, but working alone can be more creative. 4. Passive voice. Use to focus on the action, not who did it. Example: the light bulb was invented by Edison. Sentence: calculus was developed by Newton. Now let's put it all together. Here's a short dialogue using the vocabulary, phrases, and grammar we've learned. Person A: did you know Edison failed 1,000 times before he invented the light bulb? Person B: yes, he showed amazing persistence. He never gave up. Person A: and Newton discovered gravity by questioning everything. He even asked why apples fall. Person B: that's true. Both men have left a huge legacy. They stand on the shoulders of giants and inspire us to do the same. Finally, here are 2 discussion questions for you to think about. 1. Which lesson helps you more? Never give up or question everything. 2. Would you rather work in a team like Edison or alone like Newton? That's it for the English Learning Focus. Now let's wrap up this epic battle of geniuses with a quick conclusion. And there you have it, the epic battle of Edison versus Newton. 2 geniuses, 2 completely different paths, but one shared goal: to change the world. Edison, the king of inventions, showed us the power of teamwork and persistence. He failed 1,000 times but never gave up. His light bulb, phonograph, and countless other inventions remind us that hard work pays off. Newton, the master of theory, taught us to question everything. From gravity to calculus, His discoveries unlocked the secrets of the universe. He proved that curiosity and patience can lead to groundbreaking ideas. So, who wins? Edison or Newton? The truth is, both. They show us that there's no single way to succeed. Whether you're a team player like Edison or a lone wolf like Newton, what matters is your passion and determination. Before we go, let's do a quick recap. Edison: teamwork, persistence, and practical inventions. Newton: solitude, curiosity, and revolutionary theories. Both: a legacy that inspires us to dream big and work hard. Now, it's your turn. Are you Team Edison or Team Newton? Smash the like button for Edison, subscribe for Newton, and comment your winner. Don't forget to share this video with friends. Let's see who they pick. Thank you for watching Edison versus Newton, Battle of Scientific Geniuses on Learn English with Stories 365. Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and remember, you can be the next genius to change the world.